You have no authority here, Jackie Weaver.
What's this from? What's that from? It sounds vaguely familiar, Tom.
Are you not down with the cool memes and the trends?
Oh, is this that Zoom call thing? That bloke?
Oh, yes.
I've not watched it yet, but I've seen it retweeted all over the place.
It is the Tiger King of 2021, I would say.
Okay.
If there isn't a Netflix series signed by the end of the weekend, then somebody's doing their job very badly at Netflix.
Nice.
I'm just saying. If you don't get it, go find out. Report back. It's Tom and Jack with your wrestling news. A SmackDown star has been released. WWE reveals record profits and hints at further expansion during their Q4 investors call. And a legend is making an NXT debut next week. We'll get to that in a bit. So this is the news that came down late last night here in the UK, in the wee hours possibly of the morning. Steve Cutler gone from WWE. What's the crack here, Jack?
Yeah, WWE announced that Steve Cutler, or Forgotten Sons member Steve Cutler, I should also say, has indeed been released from the company. They were kind of disbanded, weren't they, the Forgotten Sons? They were involved with Jackson Riker, now he's with Elias. They were kind of the lone wolves, weren't they, with Baron Corbin? But they haven't been on TV in several weeks, the lone wolves. And that was, of course, Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake. But we've not heard anything about Wesley Blake. What we have heard, according to Fightful anyway, is this about Steve Cutler. There was heat on Cutler specifically from Vince McMahon when Cutler was sidelined from WWE TV after contracting COVID in early January. We're told that both of the Knights of the Lone Wolf were active in trying to return to television, which never ended up happening after they disappeared from WWE TV. However, those we've heard from seem to believe this release stems from that situation where they couldn't make TV. We are told this move came on WWE's behalf and that Cutler was actually in attendance at the Performance Center as he offered to bump for that infamous big man class where various big wrestlers were sent to the Performance Center that had been taking place there. One source we spoke to at the Performance Center said he was a welcome familiar face at the facility and was well liked by those there. When Fightful inquired with the roster about the Forgotten Sons, after Chad Lale's controversial tweets, that sentiment was echoed by those that we spoke to, saying that Blake and Cutler were unfairly punished after working for the company for years. WWE sources have then said to Fightful that the door is open for a return down the line. But honestly, it sounds very unfair, Tom, from what we've just read there.
It really does. Cutler has responded to the announcement, saying, "Unfortunately, today I was released. It was shocking to say the least, but I'm excited about the future and all possibilities in front of me. Thanks for your continued support. 90 days, the countdown begins." Where does Steve Cutler go now?
I don't know. By the sounds of it, if he is indeed very well liked and is a capable enough wrestler to realistically offer to be the one doing the bumping in a class involving other wrestlers, you assume there's going to be doors open for him elsewhere, both in terms of a performative role and as a coach or a trainer perhaps as well. It just depends what he wants to do and where the opportunities will arise. So you could say maybe Impact. You could say maybe AEW. They're always keen to give people a chance, aren't they, when they're released from WWE? But honestly, I don't really know. And I hope he does end up somewhere because he sounds like a good guy.
He really does. We wish Steve Cutler the very best, to use the cliche, in all his future endeavours. Moving away from that to the poor mom and pop company, the McMahon family WWE, posting record year money for Q4. We've got some of their financial notes here from there. We've trimmed a lot of the number crunching here to make it a bit more palatable for everybody's ears. But what's the score from the Q4s then, Jack?
So we'll just focus on a few key things. So first and foremost, as you alluded to, WWE has had a record year of revenue. Just a casual $974.2 million, Tom. So
I don't get out of bed for $980.
Yeah. You'd be annoyed. You'd be annoyed if you're one of the people released last year, honestly, because I don't want to get into it. It's fine. There was a drop in the last quarter due to there being no Saudi Arabia show, obviously. But even with that drop in the fourth quarter, they've still had a record year of revenue.
Do you reckon if they had a Saudi Arabia show, it would have put them over $1 billion?
I don't know how much those shows make them, but you have to assume that the chance is there with them being so close to it. Yeah. Lots of optimism as well for the Indian expansion. The president and chief revenue officer, Nick Khan, not Tony, crucial difference, revealed that the recent Superstar Spectacle, of course, which celebrated WWE's new India venture, I've just made up a word, venture, was viewed by over 20 million people in India, according to Nick Khan. That's a lot of people.
I believe that makes Jinder Mahal a demo god. I believe.
He is. He's the new demo god.
I think so, yeah. He was headliner. Yeah, Jinder Mahal, now the most successful former WWE champion of all time.
He is beautiful on the inside. They also make... Hang on, sorry, I've totally lost my place with that terrible joke. There were also several statements made about the Latin American market and Puerto Rico expansion, as well as name-dropping Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, who are obviously both of Latin American descent, and basically apparently their appearances show some strong hints at this new direction of expansion. Could also possibly indicate why Carlito was involved as well, as he is of course Puerto Rican.
There seems to be some interest in WWE continuing that expansion. Obviously, we've talked before about possible NXT Japan, but something in that market as well could seem very viable for WWE, I imagine. And it was, as we say, it was quite heavily... It was insinuated that this is something like a market they really want to covet some more.
Yes,
going forward.
They've never really been able to crack it truly, have they? Because they've tried with people like Sin Cara and Alberto Del Rio over the years, tried to really make them the guy, but they've never really been able to find anybody who can truly recapture the popularity of Rey Mysterio, for example. So I think they're constantly looking out for who the next big, Latin American star could be.
Just a few other notes as well from this investors call. You've been talking a lot, Jack. I'll give you a chance to breathe again. NBCU and WWE really optimistic about the stuff they're doing with Peacock. Looking for WWE to piggyback onto some other NBC sports franchises, possibly the NFL, doing more stuff with them. Also, WrestleMania, subject of... being the ticketed affair for WrestleMania this year. Are fans back full-time after WrestleMania? The answer is no. This is going to be the only ticketed event this half of the year from WWE. At the very earliest, we may see fans let back in the second part of this year, sort of into the summertime, they reckon. On the subject of that ratings dip that WWE has been enduring lately, Nick Khan said, "We don't believe we've lost eyeballs, but they have shifted from linear eyeballs to digital platforms. A continued good in-ring product will bring more eyes to linear platforms." Interesting quote, that one. Do you think that's the case, Jack? Is it a case of people aren't watching it in traditional ways anymore?
It possibly is. It could also, of course, be a bit of a politician's answer, trying to skirt around the issue. I just saw a lad I know named Reese, I think it was Reese who tweeted this. He just put the quote, "We don't believe we've lost eyeballs," above a picture of Rey Mysterio getting his eyeball poked out on the steps by Seth Rollins. And just in a year when WWE has been obsessed with eye injuries.
They've lost at least one eyeball this year.
Yeah,
at least
exactly.
one. Network subs up 6%. They're at 1.5 million, which they're very happy about. Also, some more politician spin by Khan here. He says that in terms of content partner satisfaction, they go by the 3 R's. Revenue, the opportunity for partners to sell against it, relevancy, excitement level, and ratings, subscriptions. That is up there with stay at home, control the virus, save lives. That's up there, isn't it? I love a bit of spin like that. So some interesting stuff coming out of that financial speech. Vince McMahon was there, didn't say a whole lot. Apparently, he piped up every so often, but was just there to listen. Nick Khan did a lot of the heavy lifting stuff there. There is a concerning trend with these, and we're in two minds about bringing it up. It was mentioned in the chat how there seems to be this pattern with when you have these investors calls and they talk about earnings and stuff. Normally, following that is a couple of releases from the company. Right. Interesting. Obviously, Steve Cutler's just gone. We'll keep an eye on that. That's speculation forever, friend. But we'll certainly keep an eye on that one.
That is interesting.
Intriguing times. Also intriguing, for a completely different reason, is Impact Wrestling. No Surrender, their next pay-per-view coming up, has a really cool new match style. What's this one about, Jack?
I really like this as well. I think it's different and it's unique, but it's rooted in familiarity, which is what we all want. We don't like change too much. It's called the Triple Threat Revolver match, and it'll debut at No Surrender. It's going to feature, I'll just list who it features first. So Trey Miguel, Chris Bay, Ace Austin, Willie Mack, Josh Alexander, Blake Christian, Suicide, and Daivari. So a really good, collection of X Division style talent there primarily, and it's going to basically be a revolving series of triple threat matches, and then when one person is eliminated from the match, the next person comes in. I assume there's some kind of kayfabe drawn order as well for how good your chances are appearing later in the match. But yeah, it's like a gauntlet match, but in a triple threat way, which I think that's good. And then once it gets down to the final three and then the final two, then it should get really exciting as well.
Yeah, I love this idea. I'm surprised no one's thought of it before. This is great that Impact have got this one, which I'm very happy about. We'll get to see Hawkins and Ryder facing off at No Surrender as well, kind of, sort of. Matt Cardona's teaming with Eddie Edwards, facing Brian Myers and Hernandez. The first time they've been in a ring together for quite some time. Should be fun.
Yes. And a few other matches that we already knew about, but we might as well run down the whole card anyway. Rich Swann is defending his World Championship against Tommy Dreamer. The Good Brothers are defending, of course, against AEW's Private Party. Their tag titles are on the line. And the X Division champion TJP will defend against Rohit Raju. And the winner, by the way, of that Triple Threat Revolver match becomes the number one contender to the X Division Championship.
And from X to NXT to finish off with a wrestling legend making their NXT debut next week. Who's this then, Jack?
That's Meiko Satomura, the legendary Japanese women's wrestler and occasional visitor to the UK and United States wrestling scenes. She impresses wherever she goes. She's really experienced. She knows how to coach people. She's a bit of an asset for a company like WWE to have on board. And they did sign her to NXT UK in a wrestling/training role. But she is also going to be making her NXT UK debut next week, according to The Observer. So, in fact, no, not according to The Observer. This was officially announced on this week's NXT UK. They said that Satomura will arrive on NXT UK next Thursday, but further details about who she'll be facing or what she'll be doing weren't yet revealed.
It's looking very likely we'll see Satomura and Kaylee Ray going at it, and this one I'm intrigued by because the last time this happened was at a Pro Wrestling Eve show, and the story behind that was that Kaylee Ray had a flight booked to get from Scotland to into London for the show, and the flight was cancelled like an hour or so before, but she was like, I've got the chance to wrestle Meiko Satomura. So she rented a van, drove all the way down the country, will not be denied her match with Satomura. This time, less logistical nightmares. I imagine they'll all be in the same place at the same time, and it should be fine when Kaylee Ray and Satomura get to it.
Just to contrast Kaylee Ray's desire and love for the business and doing well for herself with my own, at WCPW, I kept quiet for the entire time that I had a driver's license and could drive. They just assumed that I was, too young to drive or whatever. So I just kept it quiet. Once I hit 25, when you're allowed to drive a rental, never mentioned it, never mentioned that I'd turned 25, and I never had to drive anywhere. Ross did, unfortunately, but I just kept it totally quiet.
Team player, Jack King there. Yeah. Team player. More news later. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.